Wasabi, and welcome to my Mezco 112 Collective Amazing Spider-Man review. This is my first Mezco figure, so I'm gonna have a little bit of help on this one. Hey Megan!
Hey, so I had a couple questions about this figure. Could you answer them for me? Would you say the figure has good articulation?
Does the figure have great articulation? No, it doesn't. But you don't buy this kind of figure for the articulation. I mean, it actually tells you in the box on the little sheet that you get, it says don't like over pose and over articulate. I tend to be a little bit bad with that because you could rip the fabric. So no, it's not the best with articulation. It's about average.
Does the figure come with a lot of accessories?
Does the figure come with a lot of accessories? Hell the fuck yes. You get 1, 2, 3, 4 extra heads besides the one that's already included on the figure. I'm pretty sure you're given 8 extra hands in different poses, included also with the one that's already on his head. You're given a Daily Bugle mini newspaper. You're given a mini camera. You're given web effects for like his face, like not his face, but like if you want to web somebody's face, like a psst. You're even given web swinging web effects. You're given a web lasso, given a web shield, a web backpack, and a web parachute. I could go on for like minutes talking about the accessories. You're given a stand. Like, this figure has so much.
Do you think the pricing for this figure is fair?
Do I think the pricing is fair? I paid about $120 for the figure, and I think that was like the going price I saw it going for. I think that's what it was going for on Amazon, and I think that's what it was going for on most other sites you would get something like this from. Big Bad, like all the usual stores. I went to like an actual comic store and got it, and like I said, it was about $120. So yeah, that's about a fair price, I think, especially with all the different accessories I just named off, and there were still more I hadn't named. Yeah, it's definitely worth it. And the cloth. Now, if you're buying it for like an articulated figure, no, it's not. But you know, you get what you get. It'd be the same with Hot Toys.
Would you recommend this Spider-Man figure to novice collectors just starting out, or would you only really recommend it to more experienced collectors?
I guess I can answer this in 2 ways. So, I'm not going to say I wouldn't recommend it to novice collectors in a sense of, I used to be a mainly lower tier, less pricey figure collector. I just recently got my first Hot Toys, and this is my first Mezco 112 collective figure. So for me, I'm not going to say I don't recommend people not get figures that might be a little bit over their, I don't know. That just wouldn't make sense. But what I will say is, I don't maybe say I won't recommend this to novice collectors, as in like maybe someone who just started collecting figures in general, and I'm not going to say, hey, go get this expensive Spider-Man as your first figure. If you just want like a Spider-Man, I might recommend a cheaper one. So maybe that is a better thing, or a better way to answer that.
How is the quality? Does the cloth feel cheap? Does the body feel flimsy?
The quality. So the cloth feels pretty decent, actually. Like it feels really nice. The texture isn't weird, so like it's not a weird sensory thing for people who might have that kind of issue. It's a little thin, and there are areas where it bunches up because it might be a little like long in certain spots, but that's not a problem for something like a Spider-Man. I'm okay with that. I will say I've seen a lot of other people say that they've had issues with like seams in certain areas ripping. I do worry about that, but I think that's from over posing. And I do pose this thing a lot because he is very poseable for someone who doesn't have the best articulation. He just looks really good because of the real cloth. Like, it's really hard to not make this figure look good in like any kind of pose, really. But yes, the cloth is kind of not the strongest, and you can see seams in certain areas, so that also makes me worry. Does the body feel cheap? It doesn't feel cheap in a sense of like it's gonna fall apart, but it does feel like it doesn't have the best articulation. Like, I feel like if I was to cut this open, I would just see a generic, like, unfinished torso that just has cloth over it, which is probably what it is, but like, it has like a basic torso, like, there's no crunch in the torso, it's just like a little twist here or there. There's no butterfly, like, oh, there is a butterfly in the shoulders, but it's not a very deep one, and the cloth kind of restricts any real, like, poses you might get with it anyway. So no, the body doesn't feel flimsy. The pegs for the hands, though, do make me a little nervous.
What are some pros and cons that you have for people who are maybe a little hesitant to make the purchase?
Some pros I might mention are this thing looks amazing no matter what. Like, just standing there, the cloth really does make it pop, and it really gives off like a Spider-Man vibe. Another pro, the accessories. I've literally never been given this many accessories in a box before. Like, there were 3 trays. There was the first tray that had Spider-Man in it, and all the extra heads and all the extra like the things like the cameras and the Daily Bugle. Then under that there was another tray of just hands and web accessories, and then under that there was another tray of a stand, the base, and just like this wall decal of Spider-Man. Like, there was so much. Some cons I might mention: the steep price. So for a figure that runs about $120 on average, you're not getting the best articulation. And if you are a person who collects your figures based off the posability, then that can be a major drawback, and I understand why. Another con I might mention would probably be just how the cloth doesn't feel like it's gonna last long term, in a sense of, I feel like if I was to continue posing this, parts of the red on the shoulders is gonna crack and I'm gonna start seeing through it. And I also worry if I'm gonna start getting little rips in some of the seams under the arms, in between the legs, or maybe even on his back. I want to use this time to segue into some more thoughts about this figure, and just to honestly let you guys know, like, this is one of my favorite purchases I've made in the last year. And I've made a lot of purchases. This one, I don't know if it's the accessories you get that send this figure so over the top for me. Because yeah, sure, he has cloth, and yeah, sure, he looks like Spider-Man. But I'll get into the articulation shortly. It's not like this figure can do a lot, but I think it's more so the look and what's in the box that really sells this for me. I mean, like I said, 3 fucking trays of accessories. 3 fucking trays. And I guess for articulation, there's none fucking at all. He's just a statue. You can try to go over articulation. I don't know if it's gonna be long, because like I said, this figure is not really for what he can do posing wise. This figure is for its appearance, the cloth, and the accessories. But for those who are very stiff about things like articulation, fine, we can do that. Articulation wise, he's got a 360 swivel at the head, so he can be Reagan if that's needed. There is a butterfly joint in the shoulders here. It's not a great one, but there is one there. I won't recommend doing it much because you can run the risk of tearing the cloth there. Swivel bicep, but again, I'm not going to do it. You've got a double jointed elbow, no swivel here. You've got a swivel and a hinge in the wrist. Same goes for this arm. There is no articulation as in bend in the torso at all. There's a twist like this a little bit on the side. You have a swivel at the waist. Again, I wouldn't do it because this thing is not meant for that. You've got a nice range of motion in that leg. Good up, good out for splits, but again, careful with this threading. Pause. Hey, yo, fam, come on. I keep telling you about this. Chill. Threading. Pause. I think a double bend at the knee. There's no articulation here. Also, you're only given side and a little front and back. I do wish the toe had some sort of bend, but again, it's okay, I guess. So yeah, this figure is very basic articulation. Like, it has like the articulation of like a $15 Marvel Legends figure. So, I had mentioned this figure having a bunch of accessories, and like I said, it has a bunch of accessories, 3 trays worth. I don't really want to go into detail here explaining all the accessories because this is my review, and if you really want to see, I did a deep in-depth dive of every accessory that I could in that box. This is just from my thoughts and my opinions on the figure. I'll be honest. There are a few things that do worry me. One is the peg connection for the hands. There's a swivel peg attached to the arms that you can attach multiple different hands to. It just worries me because when I was trying to connect the webbing one time and the hand, I accidentally made it bend in a weird motion because my finger slipped, and like I almost bent a finger on one of the web shooter hands, and I'm pretty sure I was worried about the peg bending. There was no stress on the plastic. It just makes me worry because it's a very small peg. Like, what happens at that point? I do worry about the cloth having parts like on the top on his shoulders over here. I worry about getting cracks in the red because I'm already kind of seeing like stress on the cloth for that because they use like a harder it's weird to explain, like a harder kind of plastic, a harder kind of cloth instead of a thin one. So like you've seen that if you had clothing like that with those kind of material on it, it cracks after a certain point and you start seeing the cloth that's under it bleed through. So that makes me worry. I've seen a bunch of videos of other people with this figure saying that they've gotten like cloth ripping at seams in certain points. So it just makes me worry that long term what might come of him. But then again, he's gonna pause. You never learn, do you, fam? Then again, he's gonna go in my display case with all my other high-end figures, and basically figures that I see worth a lot of value get a spot in there. Even though my Megazord, technically not a figure, isn't in there, but that's a different conversation. You know, Mezco doesn't pay me. I'm not sponsored by anyone. So like, I'm not going to give you you should buy this because blah, blah, blah. I'm going to give you an honest opinion and my honest thoughts on it. So one of the things that might turn you away from this is the $120 price tag. That's a lot to pay for an action figure, especially a one in the same scale as Mezco. So like for me, after I'd bought my Hot Toys Iron Man, the issue I was struggling with was like, why am I paying for the same detail of Hot Toys but in the scale of like Marvel Legends? I'm like, does it just not make sense? Like, I'm already paying $150 for this Wolverine, I'm already paying $120 for this Spider-Man. Should I just shell out another $100 for Hot Toys? I stopped thinking that way because that wasn't going to help me with anything. All that made me do is miss out on figures that I might miss from my collection. So instead, I took the approach of, well, this is kind of like Hot Toys, but just at a minier scale. And for people who don't want to shell out $300 to $400 a figure, this is more affordable. So like if you want, this is like, in my opinion, the closest encapsulation to what you're going to get to that figure and maybe detail and look wise. Articulation, yeah, pretty much the same. But you're not going to get like Marvel Legends to Mafex to SH Figure Arts type articulation. But that goes with Hot Toys as well. If you really want an amazing Spider-Man that gives off that 1960s, 70s comic book vibe, and you don't like the options that are out there, and Marvel Legends just doesn't do it for you because it doesn't do it for a lot of people, and you don't know if you really want Mafex or you want SH Figure Arts because, one, they're impossible to find and you're usually overpriced, or you want to try this out because this is going for around the same price everywhere you find it.
So, Ramses, can you recommend this figure? Give your honest answer.
So, you want my honest answer. Can I recommend this figure? Yeah, I can recommend this figure. Who wouldn't? This thing is fucking awesome. I haven't been able to put it down yet. I haven't put it in my display case. I haven't figured out where I'm going to display it or how I'm going to display it. One, because I've had to unbox and review it. Two, because I just really don't know. Like, I don't know what head I'm going to put on it. I don't know what web effect I'm going to put in his hand. I don't know what hand I'm going to use. I don't know how I'm going to display him. Is it going to be aerial? Is it going to be standing? Is it going to be, like, in motion? I have no idea. But one thing I do know is I like the fact that I have so many options. I have so many things in this box that I'm never going to probably use and never going to display him with. But man, oh man, is it fun to take pictures with him. Just to do photo shoots. Like, if you're someone who likes taking photography or someone who likes taking photos of their figures just in general, then yeah, then this figure's awesome. You can pose Peter Parker in his Spider-Man costume with his camera. You can pose Spider-Man swinging from web to web with your camera. Like, it's so cool. There's so many different possibilities for what you can do with this figure. Or you could just have him standing on your desk just looking dope. It gets people's eyes. It gets them going like, ooh, what's that? What's that? Anytime I take this thing out, my son's like, what's that? That's so cool. That's so awesome. I'm telling you, this is worth it. Yes, the pricing is a little much, and for this price, you could get a Spider-Man not made of cloth with probably 10 times the articulation. Just will it come with as many accessories? Like, this feels like they actually cared about me and they actually put the effort and the time into this. Like, that's the difference between when I buy Spider-Man from Marvel Legends or another brand. It doesn't feel like, it's like, yeah, they put time and effort into the figure and its movement and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't feel like there's anything else. When I get 2 accessories in a box, or when I don't get any accessories at all, or any effects, it's just like, or if I do get effects, it's the same old effects that I've already been getting. It's just like, alright, well, I guess that's cool. But then again, I'm paying lower money for that, so I get that. But this figure is worth it. Wrapping up my final thoughts on this figure, I'm just going to leave it at, this is one of my favorite purchases I've made. And I know I just said that, but like, I need to hammer down on the point that this is one of my favorite purchases I've made. Besides my Iron Man, this is one of my favorite purchases I've made. This figure is amazing. He's like Spider-Man. He's awesome. I hope, if anything, I've done a service to you and I've given you insight into this figure. And I know there's tons of reviews and unboxings about this figure out there already. I'm trying to stand out in a way of, I want you to see things that maybe those people didn't show you, and I want you to feel like you're getting something from this. So I just want people to understand, like, yes, I love this figure. I think it's awesome. I think it's amazing. I've spent about a month playing with it, articulating it, posing it, putting different things on it, taking photos with it. It's amazing if you have, because it has a stand, so it's amazing if you have a place to just pose him and take pictures. It's so fun. I enjoy doing it. That's probably one of the main highlights to having this figure, is I can just take kooky and awesome photos with it. Alright, thank you for watching this review of Spider-Man. I can tell you're a Spider fan. Yeah, I'm the man. Just pop the Zan. Understand the plan. I got y'all hyped like Stan. Aw, man. Sorry, I can't rap. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, follow. Peace out. And now, for your listening pleasure, I give you Megan sounding like an anime character.
So, Ramses, can you recommend this figure? Give your honest answer.